Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Archana Mataji, over to you. Please do Jai Radha Madhav.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. I had some issues with my laptop, so couldn't log in on time. Okay, so I will start the kirtan for today. Today we are doing Radhikashtakam by Sanatan Goswami.
Mataji, Jai Radha Madhav.
Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandan Vraj Janaranjan Yashodanandan Vraj Janaranjan यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय प्रभुपाद Hare Krishna. We will do Radhika Ashtakam today by Srila Sanatan Goswami. Radhika Sharada Indu Nindi Mukha Mandali Radhika Sharada Indu Nindi Mukha Mandali Kuntale Vichitra Veni Champaka Pushpa Shobhani नीलपट्टंगे शोभे ताहे आधोढणी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु तारुण अरुणाजिनी सिंदुरे रामंडली याचे आली मत भरे मलय जगंधिनी भुरुर भंगिम कोटी कोटी काम गंजिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु खंजन गंजन दीठी बंकिम सुचाहनी अंजन रंजित ताहे काम शर संधिनी तिल पुष्पजिनी नासा वेसरा सुडोलनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु पक्का विश्व फलाजिनी आधार सुरंगिनी दशन दाढी श्वबीज जिनी अतिशोभनी वसंत कोकिला जिनी सुमधुर बोलनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु कनक मुकुराजिनी गंडायुग शोभनी रतन मंजीर पाये वंकराज डोलनी केसर मुकुटाहार उर पर झोलनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु कनक कलशाजिनी कुचयुग शोभनी करिबार करजिनी बाहुजुग ढोलनी सुललित अंगुलिते मुद्रिकार साजनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु गजरिजिनी माझा गुरु यानी तस्विनी तापर शोभित भाला कनकेर किंकिणी कनक उलट रंभा जानुयुग शोभनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु हंस राजगती जिनी सुमंथर चालनी रातुल चरणे राजे कनया सुपंजिनी जुगल चरण शोभे यावक सुरंजिनी वंदिये श्रीपाद पद्म वृषभानुनंदिनी राधिका शरद इंदु निंदी मुखमंडली कुंतले विचित्र वेणी चंपक पुष्प शोभनी राधिका शरद इंदु हरे कृष्णा
So beautiful, Mataji. So beautiful.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु थैंक यू वेरी मच हरे कृष्ण
Yeah. Are you reading any translations? So it looks like it's a very beautiful poem.
Do we have time for the translation, Prabhu?
Yeah, I think maybe it won't take that much time, right?
Okay, I will read the translation. Srimati Radhika's face makes the full moon of the Sharad autumn season feel bashful. Multitude of flowers adorn her beautifully braided hair. She is dressed in a blue sari and the upper part of her body is covered with a veil. I worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabhanu. The dot of sindoor on her forehead of Srimati Radhika defeats the redness of the early morning sun. The fragrance of lotus from her body causes the bumblebees to go wild and fly around her. The gesture of her eyebrows defeats the pride of the millions of cupids. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Rishabhanu. Her eyes, which move like the Khanjana bird, are anointed with mascara. From the corner of her eyes, she shoots her beautiful glance, just like the flower arrows from the bow of Cupid. Her beautiful nose defeats the beauty of sesame flowers, and from it a nose ring swings very beautifully. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabhanu. Her lips are more reddish than the ripe bimba fruit, and her teeth are as beautifully set as the seeds of pomegranates. Her voice is more melodious than that of a cuckoo. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabhan. She has cheeks that are blossoming with with a gracefully golden complexion. Her jeweled ankle bells tied to her feet sway freely. Her long hair and necklace of pearls lie on her breast. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, daughter of King Rishabhan. The beauty of her cheeks defeats the beauty of the golden mirror. She wears jeweled ankle bells, and her earrings swing beautifully. Her slender fingers are like decorated with jewel studded rings. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabhanu. She moves more majestically than the king of elephants. A golden girdle shines beautifully around her slender waist, and small golden bells in them tinkle sweetly. Her thighs are smooth and slender like an upturned trunk of a golden banana tree. I worship the lotus feet of Dashimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabhanu. Her movement is more graceful than a swan's. The jewel ankle bells adorn her feet. I worship the lotus feet of that Srimati Radhika, the daughter of King Rishabha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, wonderful Mataji. Haribol, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All good Srila Prabhupada. I notice Premaji is with us today. Happy New Year, Premaji. Can you hear me?
Haribol. Yes, I am
So,
there.
this 2026 is very critical for me particularly. So please have, I would really appreciate your blessings, Thank you.
Krishna is with you.
But through you.
Your video is off.
My videos? Oh, I'm sorry. Can see everybody now? So first I offer my prayers to our Guru Parampara, Krishna, and so on like that. And then 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशे नमः. O most beneficent incarnation, you are Krishna himself appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani and you are distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisance unto you. Krishna Varnam Fisha Krishnam Sangopangostra Parshadam Yagna hi Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasa. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Now we offer our prayers to the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, the direct associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Dana Sasik Shad Dharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anande Namattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, excuse me, Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the 3 worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Prabhupada Jai Shri Prabhupada Jai Shri Govindamadi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna again. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Shri Prabhupada. So before I start today's class, will be the 3rd lesson. And that what we have been doing is what Upanishads teach. So before I start, I think somebody's doing recap the previous week's class.
Yeah.
Haribo?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Radha Vinod Das. I will be doing it. And
Thank you.
thank you, Prabhuji, for wonderful slides and initial prayers, and also thanks Archana Mataji, giving how Radharani looks so beautiful. I don't see anything is left out that we can visualize or see about Radharani, how she was glorified, right? And
Yeah.
there. Hare Krishna devotees, welcome everyone, and we have special guest also, Prema Mataji. Thank you for coming. And with that, I will go Charu Prabhuji, Sharat Prabhuji. I think only because of your, your efforts and your mercy, we are able to study this what we are doing. So with that, I'll go. I shared my screen. Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, perfect. So today is a very like last week, Charu Prabhuji explained so nicely, and this is the subject very is close to the heart. Typically coming from Krishna, only Krishna, nothing else, and then we talk about dancing at the tune of Brahman, right? So that is the little bit of change, and let's understand how we see they are united. So I will go it not first slide. I will start with the second because we have discussed many times Jivatman and all this thing. At the last also we have the, I think, ninth item also coming back only for this one. So I will begin with today's recap with a lesson 2, attributes of the absolute, delving into the profound characteristics and ultimate truth of Brahman. So when we talk about a Brahman, I think we have a lot of things, couple of classes we are going. Is it a Brahm, and a Brahma is a person, and Brahma is also that we have discern whether it's called Brahma or Brahma. The words we have done. We have the similar words coming up. Vasudev and Vasudev. Vasudev is a father. Vasudev is a son. Krishna. We talk about. So before we start, just to cut the ice and go ahead. Uh, in a Maharashtra, Vittal appears for whom he comes to Pandharpur, and it said that Parabrahm, you know, came to see Pundalika, Parabrahm. Again, the word is used, but the person comes to visit Pundalika, and that is why he appears, and he's there for last 28 yugas. So, with that, let's continue our today's recap. As I'm sharing here, first thing I'll start with the simple, and then we'll go with more question and answers, and let's see how we. So very nicely slides. Right, the first few things I would like to recap, and then go ahead with the details of the into that. So Brahman. So four foundational attributes of Brahman's nature. So first is the Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Ananda. So that means Satyam. We will be talking more details about. It's a truth, absolute truth. He is all knowledgeable. We are talking about Brahman. Charuparji talks about put word yam at the end. So Brahm is not a more Brahm, it's a Brahman. So it's the absolute truth. Brahman is absolute truth. It is full of knowledge. It is infinity. It is not something we can with a limited scope we can view it. It's a infinity, and it's a bliss. If there is no bliss, why would I gone into that, right? So because we also Anand, we want to experience the bliss, and that we don't find in material world, and that's the reason we are going up there. So again, the point 2 is missing here, but it is the next slide. I'll go through these points. I just want to recap, and then we'll go with the question. Positive and negative, nicely done. So, we have to view both angles, right? So one is he is a servant, he all knowing, all pervading, he is all pervading, Brahmaniti, Paramatmaiti, Bhagavaniti. So his all pervading aspect is there. So he's all knower, he knows everything. He is a Sarvatma, Sarva Karma. That means he can perform all the activities. He's not limited that he can do this or that. So again, it is a very rightly said that he is all in all. And Satya Sankalpa, if he desires, anything is possible. So that is how it was explained. That is a positive attribute because that's how we can easily connect with him, right? Another part is which is also there. Is a Nirguna, Nirakar, Saguna, Sakar. That's where we go. Adresha, invisible. So he is not in a physical, we can see or concept. He is a Ashutaha, subtle. That means like mind intends false ego. It's a gross and subtle like that way. And the third one is a Niskriya. Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah.
It's called, see if you pronounce it right, you'll get the meaning very clearly. Asthula. Sthula means
Astula, subtle.
gross body. So asthula means the opposite. It's very subtle.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Prabhuji. Astula.
Yeah.
So not stool, it's a subtle. Perfect. And Nishkriya, inactive. Right? That's what we go. And Upanishad talks about, and this is there on that. So I have one question here at the end. I highlighted something. So I put it. No, I'll go to the next slide and the point 1. Then no, I think sorry, I'll come back here because
Point
the
2 is
question is
coming
on
there.
this slide itself.
Because I could not
Yeah, 2 is coming.
Point 2 is very large,
Right, and that's very nice. But I will go with whatever is the answer available here. There's one simple
Yeah.
question. Upanishad presents a compelling version of Brahman. Upanishad talks basically Brahman and Sharad Prabhuji and Charu Prabhuji, they are explaining. So the question here is that why Mayavadi philosopher fails in a comparison to understand the Upanishad. It's like how you see Brahman and Mayavadi, Nirgun, Nirakar, and Saguna, Sakar. Why Mayavadis are not able to see both are same thing. Two sides of the same coin. You can see. Can somebody take up this one?
Hare
This is the
Krishna
question.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Brahman is both Sagun Brahman and Nirgun Brahman. Mayavadi philosophy is that there is Nirgun Brahman, but it is Sagun Brahman also. It has qualities, it has form also. And so it
Right.
Vaishnavas or Acharya criticize
Yes.
Mayavadi philosophy.
Correct. So Mayavadi takes Nirguna Nirakar. They only take one aspect up and they forget the other one, maybe conveniently or whatever is the reason. So when you want to study, we should study it as a whole, holistic approach, right? That is what we are doing here. So point two, which was missing on that. So it's very important to understand Brahman, because without that, that Brahman's concept will be incomplete. So I'll just go through on this one. Maybe one or two questions I'll have. So first is Jagada Karanatva. That means Brahman is the ultimate source and cause of the universe, embodying the creative force that underlines the all existence. So Brahman, as we have seen, previously also, is the cause of the material creation. Otherwise, apart from that, also creation of all the jivas and all the existence. So it's a Jagat Karanatva. So entire world, cosmic creativity is coming from Brahman. As we understand from other side, it's also Mahavishnu. It's connected with that. So Brahman is not only the creator of the cosmos, but also sustainer, pervading all life and matter through the singular source. That means it's coming only from him. He doesn't need any help. So Brahman creates everything. It illustrates that the material world is not diverse from divine. Very nice words. We have to understand. So somebody wants to differentiate between material world is separate and divine. The spiritual is only divine, and material world is not that. It's not that. You can't diverse out. You can't see it separately. The other fostering the sense of unity, belonging within the grand tapestry of existence. So both belongs to him. So with that. So I'll have the next question, second part, Ishwaratva. Okay. So as we see, he's a all in all great cosmic creativity. So he is also Ishwaratva. So question: can somebody explain that how Brahman is also Ishwara?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of the reason is he's a creator and also sustainer. Okay. So sustainer is one of the very critical thing for the attributes of Ishvara Prabhuji, in my understanding. That is what Prabhuji is also explained. Okay. So because of that reason, we are saying, sustainer.
So he has a quality called Ishwaratva. Ishwar is a
Ishvara.
controller, right?
Yeah,
It's a
creator and
controllership.
sustainer.
Right.
Yeah,
He
controller.
is sovereign
Correct.
ruler of all, of all.
Yes.
It is also the sovereign ruler of all, governor over the cosmos.
Yes. Yeah. So can somebody add something more? Is Charu Prabhuji has brought into this one? So he is a
Hare
controller.
Krishna.
Yes. Go ahead, Mataji.
So he has not just created the cosmos, but he himself has become the cosmos. He is merged into each and every atom of it, and hence he has the power, complete power over it. Anytime he can withdraw, anytime he can. So he is the ultimate lordship. He is the
Yes.
highest controller.
Yeah, that is very important. So he is a creator, maintainer. At the end, also we see he can dissolve, right? He can absorb back. So he has a full control about control on everything, not one aspect of creativity that Mataji is talking about. So this attribute highlights the Brahman maintains. I'm just reading here. Maintain order and harmony within creation, serving guidance. So nothing is excluded. So absolute authority, absolute power. That is what is there. And nice word, one more, because I can't stop reading. Otherwise, we won't do justice that Charupurji has put in. It reinforces the significance of reverence and devotion, because where we surrender, when we see fear, when we see somebody is greater than all, greater than we are, it's beyond our comprehension, right? The surrender comes, that mood. And we'll have one attribute, one of coming here, but here also reinforces significance of reverence and devotion towards the supreme, because we see we are Anu and he's a Vibhu, all those things we can talk about that, and also recognizing our connection to the divine at the same time. And we'll go to the next point, which is a very nice point, because this is what essence is there. That's why we'll take little more time on that than other slides going through. So can somebody explain his antaryami? So that he's also antaryami or antaryamitva. So how you understand his his attribute or his functionality as antaryami?
Hare Krishna,
It
Prabhu. May I
is,
say?
it is, sorry, Prabhu, go on, Prabhu, go on.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is, he knows the heart of each and every one, not just one. And then I also like to add what Prabhuji taught us, the meaning of Satyam. I heard it for the first time. That is Satya Hiyam. He connects the transcendental, the whole, and we the part and parcel. So he is the connection, same for all, connected between all, and he knows the mind and thought of everyone. That is why he is Antaryami. Sorry, Mataji, please share your thought also.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
It is a guide and inner voice, and it reflects our thoughts, actions, destinies, and it is both transcendent and immanent, and actively participate in the lives of being.
You notice,
So
guys, there is a very, excuse me, did you notice there is a very important element? It's coming up. The very word
yeah.
antarayatmitva. You know who is antaratma? Paramatman, right? And we have been
Yes.
discussing Brahman. So you see right there, Mayavadis conveniently avoid that. But right there from the Upanishad itself says the Brahman could take the role of being super soul. At the same time,
Yeah.
it also can assume the role as Bhagavan. So this absolute truth, okay, it's in three ways we can perceive Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, but you cannot differentiate. They all three intermingly, they interchange each other's function, So here, right there, Brahman also acts as super soul. It can also act as Bhagavan. And this is the next role. Would you go ahead and talk about this
Yeah.
Adhar
Yeah.
Tattva?
Yeah, I will come back. So one word I want to say, as we say, he is sitting on heart. So how does it make difference? Because Lord is always with us. Just now we saw that he's a Paramatma, but what is his role? That is a last word here, which I highlight. Divine is both transcendent and immanent, and also if you look at here, actively participate in the lives of all beings. It's very important, because at the end of the day, Bhagwan is great, everything is great, but if it's not connected with us, then we be studying all those things? No, because it's a directly connected, as we see, guiding them on their spiritual journey. He is the guidance. He gives as the Antaratma sitting inside our heart. He guides us. So it's a very important. He doesn't here. He is always, wherever life, whichever life we take it, good life, bad life, he's always associate with us. That is the also important part. So it's a Antaratma, he's the Antaryami. Prabhuji gave also one word. I'm not going to that time, Nazar and Nazariya, So that so next one is a basically Adharatva. So again, the question is that why Brahman is Adharatva?
Adharat Brahman is Adharat because upon which it depends entire cosmos. Entire cosmos relies there.
Is it only cosmos lies or something else also lies with him? If we think cosmos, that means sun, moon, and all that, it's a is a there's shelter. But is there anything else other than that?
All creations relies on all creations.
So what is? Can you, mother, little specify what do you mean by all creation? What it includes primarily?
All living beings.
Perfect.
Uh,
Perfect. Perfect. So everything that exists here,
Everything that exists.
exists here. Yes, Mata. Everything that exists he is the only shelter. There's no other shelter, right? That is what is there. So it all existence is intricately anchored here. Again, I'll read some word because we don't want to miss that. All existence is intricately anchored in Brahman. Okay, and without Brahman, nothing could exist. Right, that's why we say, for Chatushlaki Bhagavat, if there's anything and there is no relation with us, that doesn't exist. Right, Chatushlaki Bhagavatam, that one of the sloka. So everything is within his control, everything is in his creation and his maintenance and absolute power we see. The next, every material and spiritual reality draws its essence from the foundational truth. So it is a material he is a controlling, also he is a spiritual. That means we have path forward, Jalma Murtu Jara Vyadhi, if you have to go beyond that, and that's our ultimate purpose. So he gives a path forward also. So that way he is the Adharatva, not in material world, but he is Adharatva eternally in a spiritual also. He also talks about Adharatva invites seekers to awaken to ephemeral nature of the material world. Again, material world is a temporary or illusion and all those things. But whatever is there, it is coming from the Lord. It cannot be something false. It has to be a true. Okay, so with that, I will go with the next slide.
Actually, we can say it is the bedrock of the universe. Without it, nothing can exist.
Without it, nothing can exist, and that is what is the Chatushlaki Bhagavatam. One of the sloka talks about. If that exists, somebody says, then it's illusion only. So everything is that exists in the universe, jiva and material creation or anything other than that also. Kan kan mein hai Brahman, kan kan mein hai Lord Ram, right? That's what we talk about. He's everything in all that. So then we'll go to the next Brahman's attributes. We are talking about fifth attribute, mantras. Okay, so I'll just go read through that to save the time. Sveteshwar Upanishad describe Brahman as a Purusha. So another aspect of that, Prabhu is talking about, it's not only the, the Nirakar, Nirgun and Nirakar, but it's also Purusha. Purusha indicates what we'll see some more attributes of that. So person devoid of physical characteristic. So when you talk about a Brahman, emphasize the absence of physical form does not diminish Brahman's capacity to engage and accept offering, showcasing that divine attributes transcend material limitation. So we cannot just see that Brahman is also Purusha, and as we'll see further, he is also conscious. That will come as we go. The second point six is philosophical implication. The nature of Brahman transcends conventional human understanding because we are with a limited sense. We can see certain things. We cannot comprehend beyond that. So that's what it means. But with knowledge, with our acharyas, we can see a lot of things. Understanding of personhood and material form. Both are there. This distinction between body and self as pursued in human life does not apply to Brahman. So that means he is not a body and self is not a separate. They are one entity. We discuss on that. So conclusion, I think we have discussed many of the things. We'll go ahead with the next page here. So philosophical significance here. unity of attributes. I will go through some of these points here till I come back. Some there. Unity of attributes, the recognition of Brahman's positive and negative attributes. It's a total thing you see. Vedas teach us how to observe the object, right? It's not a one way, but overall there's a samshaya. That's how you question and see that. So both things are considered here. Non-duality, very, very important. Just now we were looking at intrinsic unity of Brahman's essence, and from form challenges the prevailing dualistic interpretation. That means, material nature and the Lord, there's no connection, but that is not true, right? Interpret the spirituality inspiring practice that transcend material limitation. When you see that he is also in material, he is also in spiritual, and we see path forward, how to do that. That is what it comes. Nature of worship. Uh, can somebody talk about third point, the nature of worship? How this connects with our philosophical significance here? How worship comes, Nirgun, Nirakar, and suddenly worship comes here.
So when Lord responds or reciprocates to the devotees' prayers, that's when he takes a form, because he was considered as Nirgun Nirakar. But when he is worshipped with pure love, he would approach the person in the desired deity that the devotee is. Devotee is worshipping him in that form. So,
Sagun.
because of the devotee's devotion, the Brahman approaches and changes himself, or reciprocates in a particular form to the devotee.
Rather reciprocates, right? He's eternally existing. As we are saying, Brahmaniti, Paramatma, Bhagavaniti, all three aspects are the same Lord. How we see that. Our Nazariya is not correct. That is why we see differently. Otherwise, there is no problem of the object that is existing. That is, it has got all his ultimate form, right? So it's very nicely, the word is very nicely. This discourse emphasizes the importance of approaching Brahman with a heartfelt devotion. It's not only head mein gyan hai, we need also devotion, because that's how we can connect with him. And with the
प्रभु
emotion
जी,
we
हम
can
यहाँ पे ये भी कह सकते हैं कि जब हम अपने इंटरनल जर्नी शुरू करते हैं, जब हम परमात्मा को देखने के शुरू करते हैं, तो ये हमारी जर्नी शुरू होती है. जब हम एक पक्षी जो बाहर का फ्रूट खाता है, अब वो अंदर देख रहा है दूसरे पक्षी को, तब ये हमारी जर्नी
Correct.
शुरू होनी.
और प्रभु जी,
Correct.
संबंध एस्टैब्लिश होता है ना. वन कैन
Establish होता है.
really when there is physical form of such as deities rather than Nirgun Nirakar.
Correct.
हम जो प्योर डिवोशन हमारा होता है, तो उसमें हम
And
जो
Bhagavad
चीज
Gita also Lord talks about.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Yeah, so all points are good. Next, only here, very nice words here. Approaching Brahman with a heartfelt devotion rather than through impersonal lens. That means it's a vision, impersonal vision. So it is not only Nirgun Nirakar, but it's also Saguna Sakar. Whichever lens you take, but you cannot deny his attributes, you cannot deny his functionality and his supremacy. That's clear here. This fosters a deeper connection between worshipper and the divine. That means when you surrender, in the previously we saw that Adharatva, when we right now as a baby, right, only his Adhar is a mother. How he is comfortable, the worshipper also, the devotee also, he looks into that role. He is ultimately, by surrendering to him, I will be in a safe hand, right? That's where the worshipper comes here. The non-duality here. Okay, so I'll just talk about here, and then we'll go. This explanation invites readers to engage with the nuance that's modified, or the total approach and profound nature of Brahman's Brahman as taught in the Upanishad, nurturing a deeper appreciation of the richness of Vedic philosophy. So Upanishad talks about both. Upanishad doesn't talk as a Mayavadi said, Nirguna Nirakar, right? And Prabhuji has given all the example as we discussed. So we'll try to a little bit of hurry up. How many are slides. Let me see. I have some more slides to go. Okay, so as the absolute truth, okay, as the heart of the Upanishad lies the concept of Brahman. Again we saw that dual nature, Nirguna, Nirakar, Sagun, Sakar. We also seen that. The second point here, philosophical context, we discuss in a details about how we can visualize for a Jnana platform, right? We saw that. Third is the contrasting views. Can quickly explain like a Mayavadi philosophy? Just now we saw, but can we explain that why Mayavadi philosophy cannot stand or cannot explain as they take also refugee in a Upanishad, right? Mayavadi also take a refugee, but they miss some point. Can somebody elaborate quickly on that? Okay. So critique of Mayavadi philosophy, which seeks to draw a line between Sagun and Nirgun. That means they only see Nirgun side, they don't see a Sagun. Just now we saw that reinforces the idea that true comprehension of Brahman necessary recognizing its a inherent unity. That means they are not different. They are part of the same inherent. It's coming from him. It's a visible everywhere, right? All those things are there. Hierarchy, the words of Upanishad delineate that it describes in detail the hierarchy wherein the senses, mind, and intelligence dissolve into the boundless nature of the Brahman, culminating in the Supreme Purusha. Again, gradually, words is coming Brahman. He is also Purusha. He is the controller. He maintains. We saw that he has power to dissolve, and he is kind of a person. That means as we visualize, as we understand. So next part 7 is the inconceivability of the absolute, that we saw that unity and diversity. We saw many things here. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about, Nirgun, Nirakar, Sagun, Sakar. So here also different sampradayas, they come up with then. So Brahman as a source of creation while remaining distinct from it means Brahman is a Brahman. It doesn't transfer into the material world and loses its entity. So again, oversimplifying an interpretation of the divine. Okay, so part 7, I think we discussed a lot. Let's go to the philosophical significance, the nature of the reality, our relationship that limits of knowledge. Our seers cannot see everything. That doesn't mean there is not a beyond that, right? I'll just go to the next one. Here, okay, Brahman is not a demigod. So can somebody explain here why the concept of demigod is suddenly coming here? Hare Krishna.
Like certain Hare Krishna,
Go ahead.
certain aspects are governed by demigods. So we can think that Brahman is a demigod, but that is not true. Demigods are basically in service, uh, or or giving their role, or whatever duties they are given, they are just implementing that. So that's the reason it is mentioned clearly that demigods is not Brahman. They are just a entity or some aspect of Brahman.
Correct, correct. So control, shape, and maintain also demigod, as we understand, but they are not absolute, as you mentioned. And King Ajat Satru, the discussion is mentioned here. Again, second point here is emanation and creation. Here, metaphor, here, very nice metaphor. Can somebody take, because we are almost coming to the end. Can somebody explain here Ajat Chatru's metaphor, comparing Brahman's relation to the living entities?
Ajatashatru's metaphor comparing Brahman's relationship to living entities with that of a spider weaving its web conveys a deep truth. All beings, that is pranas, lokas, and devas, they do emerge from Brahman while retaining their um, unique identities. As this vision fosters a non-dualistic understanding, so where everything is intricately interconnected, weaving a harmonious tapestry of.
Which case time ra?
Yeah.
7:17.
Please, Prabhuji, I think you can mute. Okay. So yeah, no problem. So Mataji, you mentioned very nicely, pranas, loka, devas, emerge from Brahman while retaining their unique identity. That means he's not changing, not transferring, right? As a non-dualist approach. So everything intricately connected with because from as a cow in a web, right? Weaving web, it spider webs. He creates everything, and at the end also he absorbs everything, right? So a lot of details are there as Upanishad talks about. Will not go, but you hit the point here. Nature of truth is a satyam that we saw in a detail. So part 8, concept of bliss. Will one or two only will take it. Concept of bliss. Can somebody explain how Brahman is also bliss? Because that's what we are seeking.
So worldly pleasures are fleeting. They just go by, but Brahman is there infinitely. So hence, it is eternally blissful, you can say.
Correct.
True
So
happiness that will not go away, that will not ward off.
correct, perfect. So
Prabhuji,
the
as
real
the Lord is a Satchit Anand Swarup, Vigraha. So Anand
correct.
is, everything is infinite.
Correct. So here Narada revealing that true happiness springs not from limited boundaries of demigod, but through the realization of Brahman's boundless attributes, right? When you see he is Satchid Anand, and we have been conditioned. So once we come out of that with a surrender, we can also experience that. The material world can give a temporary happiness which cannot last for long, but it is eternity, right? We see all those things. So role of faith and practice, very important. We as awareness of supreme truth. So how gradually we evolve. And I'll go to the next 8. Same thing is continuing because I need to conclude the class here. Nature of reality and interconnection of all beings through the lens of Brahman. So Brahman we just now saw, when you see through lens of right 4 things, right? He is everything that we pursue of that. That's what he's talked about here. 8. Ninth, let's come to here. A couple of questions here because this was again first slides, Jiva and Atman and Jivatman and all those things, the different things are there. And we have discussed that, right? So the first item. Second thing, eternal nature of the self, Atman. Uh, can somebody describe that? I highlighted, you can just pick up something and elaborate.
Atman is as a timeless, it transcends the limitations of the Jivatman's physical body
Right.
and also
So,
untouched by ravages of time.
It is
right.
And
remains
it is
unaffected.
always wishes of pleasure, pain or death. Is impervious to the vicissitudes of pleasure, pain, and death.
Right. So very
Atma
nice.
is a pure spirit soul, and Jivatma is a mix with physical body. Atma is with physical body.
Yeah. So I'll read here because I want to do justification to Charu Prabhu's words that he has used here. The Upanishad resonate with a clarity, no ambiguity about the eternal nature of Atman within Jivatman. That means Paramatma or Atma or Paramatma, the eternal nature within the Jivatma, portraying the Atman as a timeless essence and transcend the limitation of imposed by the Jivatma's physical body. That body is temporary, right? We have different bodies. Body can we can have multiple, but the soul cannot be changed. So another unchanging and untouched by the ravage of time. Very important. Look at the word here. So even if the entire material world, at Brahma's 100 years and entire material world is destroyed and gone, where we go? We to go to Mahavishnu's, Udara, right? We go there. So it is eternity is also there. So that gives also some hope that we are not also temporary, enjoying this material world and leave it. There's nothing exists beyond that. But our soul is connected with the past and present and the future. That is the beauty of our Sanatan Dharma. Atman remains impervious to the vicissitude of pleasure and pain. That means it is not impacted by pleasure and pain because it's a body related. But why we feel, again, Charu Prabhuji has explained in many other class. So I think let's see nature of experience. Jivatman is characterized as the one who experienced, the Jivatman experience all that, goes through the Satguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. We have explained. I think Prabhuji, I think I have come to the end because these are the things we have discussed, Prabhuji, in detail. I'll stop here. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna,
Thank you.
Jivatji. Thank you for participating. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Very well done. Thank you so much. And I thank all the participants too. Everybody is getting some hang of it, Now, can you take the Prabhuji slides?
Yeah, I will do that. Stop
Yeah, thank
sharing.
you.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did. Thank you.
thank you. So let me share my slides now. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. So everybody is able to see my slide now? Haribo?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is the slide, everybody's seen that. This is the Maharaj 16-part article. And today we are going to do part 10, 11, and 12. Okay. And this is continuing towards the end part of the lesson 2, where we talked about Jivatman, right? So that was just an introductory part. And what Prabhuji just reviewed, we learned quite a bit. And see how carefully I've designed all these courses, because ultimately we want to understand Vedanta Sutras, right? And especially from a Gaudiya Vaishnava point of view. So how the story builds up, you notice that Upanishads, we are talking about what they are saying, Brahman, Nirguna, Nirakara, and so on like that. But you already begin to see now, Brahman took the role of Antaryatmi. Antaryami. Antaryami is the super soul, Paramatma, right? And then you also saw a beginning of the mentioned Purusha. The Purusha is the Bhagavan. So you can see that intermingling of this different aspect of it, perception of it, the absolute truth for Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Now we are almost toward the tail end of these Upanishads. My role, my hope was to introduce these terms and the complexity. But if you dive deep enough, you'll realize everything makes sense. And we keep talking about Mayavadi. The Mayavadi philosophy that was put forward by Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. But in the later life, you will see when we are talking about these 11 important lectures that will begin next week, what I call as the preparative or prerequisite in order to understand the Vedanta Sutra we'll be talking about, okay? You've been introduced Brahman Tattva in these Upanishads. Same Upanishads, based on that, the different acharyas taking different kinds of proposing different kinds of philosophies, beginning with the two philosophies which is considered as atheistic, Nastika. They don't accept the authority of the Vedas, let alone the Supreme Being. Okay. So what I determine the way I sense it, it's like a spectrum, rainbow, one end to another end, two extreme ends, and in between intermediates. You will see all these lectures that when we start beginning next week. Uh, very first lecture is Jainism, and then we'll talk about the Buddhism, Shunyavada, and then the four Vaishnava philosophies. And they will be coming across this term quite often. Why Sankaracharya? Actually, it's not Sankaracharya's fault. And we'll see, I think the Sankaracharya talk is going to be given by Sharat Prabhuji. From my slides, he already got it quite a bit. What he said, and that was picked up later on, a kind of little bit a partial view of what Shankaracharya proposed. And Shankaracharya's role at that time was to defeat Buddhism, okay? Because Buddhism really refused the authority of Vedas, okay? So that was the reason, in order to bring it that, he proposed this Mayavad philosophy. But in later in his life, when he composed this bhajana, Bhaja Govindam, you can clearly see he had in mind to come to the Bhagavan level, definitely. But by that time he left, and his followers stuck with this Nirguna Nirakara form, Brahman, and they could not see. And the thing that they were stuck because of Shankaracharya named his philosophy Kevala Advaitavada. The word Kevala only or absolute, he left no room to think about beyond that. So only dualism, non-dualism aspect got stuck in the minds of his followers. Okay, Kevala, word Kevala, and that was the main thing they are having hard time to defend the different aspects of Brahman that we just saw in the Upanishad. The very Upanishad was their only scriptures. They based their philosophy on that. And they're stuck because Upanishad says Brahman is Nirguna Nirakara, but same Upanishads then talk about the Paramatma form, Bhagavan form, the same Brahman. Okay, so it's a perception issue, but they got stuck in the word, trapping word was Kevala Advaitavada. Dvaita means duality. Advaita, the opposite, non-duality. Okay, so that they're stuck because the word Kevala, absolute. They did not leave any room for flexibility. And then later, Vaishnava Acharyas, they started explaining that. So that 11 lectures that we are going to begin next week onwards, we are going to revisit all these terms, okay? And it is going to become gradually going to become clearer, the doubts will be removed. So unlike the Mayavadis, the Vaishnavas, they accept both aspect of it, first impersonal aspect of it as personal aspect of it. And I told you, I have a very practical example, analogy I gave you. When you say administrator, administration, administrator is a person, but he is responsible for administrating, right? So that is his work, his energy, and the person who is energetic. So you cannot separate one from the another one. Administration, administrator, president and his cabinet, all these things. So you have to remember and go a little bit more expand. And after this 11 lectures you will hear, you will get a pretty good idea from these different acharyas, their philosophies and so on like that. Very, very carefully, I spent a lot of time in designing these courses. What was my ultimate objective to bring that? So bring back to here this today's class, lesson number 3, actually in this Upanishads, what we learned from that. And in the last part of the lesson 2, we already got introduced to this Jivatman. Again, Jivatman means the soul which is embodied. Pure soul is Atman. Atman. The word Atma and Atman, because they rhyme it with the word Brahman, So Paramatma becomes Paramatman, like that. It's just rhyming, So here, now today, we are going to learn more about Jivatman, the soul which has accepted material body. Okay, so different kind of properties and so on like that will be here in that. So as you can see that this lesson 10, 11, 12, they all talk about this Jivatman. Okay, and in response to Maharaj, again, same Upanishads is talking about, different Upanishads. Okay, Manduka Upanishads, Svetasvatara Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, and so on like that. Very, very important. You really have to realize that. Okay, so part 10, we will see the relationship, interrelationship between the Jivatman and Brahman. 3 aspects we are going to hear. So far you've been hearing Brahman, right? But now Brahman is going to be explained on the basis of Jivatman. And then third aspect, you don't forget the cosmos, Jagata. So all this interrelation is there, and all these interrelations underlying is the Brahman. Okay. So Jiva is also called Brahman, and Mayavadis do not discuss Brahman and so Jiva and Paramatman, they don't differentiate. We Vaishnavas, we know clear-cut differences are there. Jiva and Paramatma, Jivatman and Paramatman, but they don't accept difference distinguishing between at all. That they think there's only one soul, one Atma, and that Brahman comes under the influence of Maya. Now, see, that's again a big mistake they are making. How could Brahman, all powerful that we are hearing that, how could Brahman could come under the influence, illusory influence of Maya? Nonetheless, then they say that Jivatman, so Brahman come under the influence of under the influence of this Maya, and then it comes Jivatman. Okay, but same Jivatman then get a necessary knowledge from Vedanta Sutras, then can revert back to being Brahman, all powerful Brahman. So you see the fallacy of their situation. Okay, so first aspect is that we are going to hear clearly that there are 2 souls. One is Paramatma, the Supreme, and one is the Jivatma. Okay? And there are different states. Second aspect of today's lecture is also we are going to hear about the different states of Jivatman. And third aspect is the transmigration. If the Jivatman doesn't become Brahman realized, then he has to remain and get trapped into the vicious cycle of translocation of the soul into these 14 planetary systems and 8.4 million species of life form, transmigration. So that aspect. And then last lecture will continue from that onwards. There the role of Brahman in terms of the cosmic manifestation. So we are going to hear all these things, and all these issues that we talked about so far in 4 lectures we'll talk about, it is going to be again revisited into this 11 lectures of this, what you call philosophical spectrum, I would call it. The entire gamut of these philosophies, 2 extreme end of the spectrum we are going to hear, and all these issues are going to be revisited. Okay. So now, today's lecture, lesson 3, the journey of the Jivatman, unpacking the relationship and evolution of the Jivatman, beginning with completely under the influence of Maya, and then how the Jivatman can become knowledge gathering, jnana, and actually more than jnana, even more significant is when takes the shelter of bhakti, okay, devotional service under the supreme. So we know the Vaishnavas talk about that two kinds of Atmans are there. One is Jivatman that is there, and then there is a Paramatman. Okay, and even Paramatman role of Bhagavan also comes into play, because when we talk about bhakti, obviously there's a Bhagavan personalized, okay, all powerful. So journey of the Jivatman that we will see from its completely bewildered state, and then gradually becoming Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization. So unpacking the relationship and evolution of Jivatman we'll be talking about. It's the journey of the embodied soul. So journey towards Brahman in the form of Bhagavan. Okay? So that is the overview that I gave you, what we are going to be learning today. So you can see that this slide, this is the 5 parts of this particular theme, the relationship between the Jivatman and Brahman. Okay? Again, we are talking about the same lingo, Upanishadic lingo that Maharaj is talking about, so that he could directly interact and counter what the Mayavadis talk about. Okay, so there's a duality of Jivatman and Brahman. Okay, now that again, now the word duality, dualism. Okay, and Mayavadi talks about Kevala only. There's no room for adjustment. They talk Kevala Advaitavad. Only there is a non-dualism. Okay. So here it is. Let's read that. The Upanishads illustrate the intricate bond between the individual Jivatman and Paramatman. So you see the Paramatman form of the Brahman that we are now talking about, okay? Using the captivating metaphor. So here, Maharaj is bringing this very famous, almost everyone knows about this Mundaka Upanishad and the Satasvatara Upanishad. They talk about this, do this particular analogy of two birds. Okay, both are very friendly, but one bird is superior than the other one. The other one is in ignorance, and the superior one is all-knowing. Okay, so this the bird, and both birds are on the branch of a tree, and tree has this nice juicy mangoes hanging there. So the bird that was less intelligent, he got attracted to this mango and just grabbed one of the mango, and he start tasting it, liking it, and relishing it. Okay. The other bird is not at all attracted by that mango. He is simply witnessing his friend enjoying this mango. So two aspects or three aspects coming out from this example. One is that a Jivatman comes under the Maya's influence and forget that he's pure soul. Okay. And he comes and attracted, bewildered by seeing a very alluring, very, very, and completely engrossed in tasting the taste of food, this particular mango, So that is the dilemma we all face. We got attracted all the material things, so much so that we totally forget that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. But bodily demands take control over he being the spirit soul. But Paramatma knows that clearly. So Paramatma, situated within the heart, he keeps advice. Look, you are forgetting who you are. You are getting so much overly attracted to this material taste and everything like that, and you forgot. And that is the cause of your entrapment in the material world. So Paramatma is constantly giving this knowledge to him, but because of his tremendous interest, being attracted to material attractiveness, he forgets that he is the pure spirit soul. It has nothing to do with them, and that will ultimately become the cause of his material sufferings. Okay. So that aspect is again being missed by the Mayavadis. They have no concept of that. What they think that this Jivatman who get attracted, and after a while, when he gets the knowledge, so they give a jnana portion. And Upanishad is all jnana based. Then he will realize that he is not this body, he is pure spirit soul. There is their way of approaching how Jivatman ultimately gets the knowledge and reverts back to being Brahman. Now, of course, we are all Brahman actually. Aham Brahmasmi. There are 5 different Mahavakyas Mayavadis have that. Aham Brahmasmi. Tattvam like that, So there the Upanishads learn, and now we'll take some examples of this Upanishads also, and how Maharaj interprets differently from the Mayavadis. So Mayavadis, they're trapped. They said that only Keval Advaitavad, only that which is non-dualism. They don't give dualistic viewpoint that one is ordinary Atma, the other one is the Supreme. The 2 kinds of Atmas are there, Jivatman and Paramatman. They don't give any room for that, no compromise, nothing like that. The word Kevala, they got stuck to that, So Nirguna Nirakara, how could Nirguna Nirakara can do all these other things that the Upanishad is pointing out? They have no way of explaining that. And we know Vaishnavas.
Bye, Prabhu. These carrots will finish very fast. 1 or 2 they won't give, huh?
Mataji, you need to mute your microphone. Everybody's hearing what you're saying to someone else in your house.
Sorry, Prabhu.
So you see that they're stuck that. And we'll be talking about this Shankaracharya's hypothesis, Shankaracharya's theory given by Sharat Prabhuji. We'll talk about all that in a particular situation. Shankaracharya introduced that particular theory, but his deeper meaning was quite different. That later on in his life, he composed this Bhaja Govindam, it's a Bhagavan aspect of Brahman. But his followers, after he left, got stuck with only the first aspect, the Mayavadi, Kevalam Advaitavada. But then, when the Vaishnavacharyas came into picture one by one, they started modifying that. And how the modification takes place, that we'll see. So duality of the Jivatman and Brahman. The Jivatman bird, so this is the analogy of 2 birds. That is what it brings about the point, okay? How the Jivatman gets bewildered by Maya's influence and they get attracted to worldly affairs. Second point, forgetfulness and liberation. Here, ajnana versus getting jnana. The struggle of the Jivatman arose from its forgetfulness of the divine connection with Brahman. two levels of forgetfulness. One, he forgets that he is not this body, he is spirit soul. That is first aspect of it. Second aspect, there is a Paramatman who is actually educating him to get that ignorance to getting real knowledge. Okay? Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, that's actually later on. The struggle of Jivatma arose from his forgetfulness of the divine connection with Brahman. Okay? Mirroring a bird flitting restlessly from one branch to another branch. Again, the analogy of one branch to another branch. What does it that indicate? One life form to another life form, 8.4 million species of life form in 14 different planetary systems. The vicious cycle keeps continuing, the transmigration, what we call samsara, repeated birth, repeated death. You know, the Bhajagovindam, Shankaracharya also talks about that. So he goes from one restless to another. At some point, he comes to his senses when the suffering becomes too much. Then he comes to point, and that's where it's called Athato Brahma Jigyasa. The very first sutra of the Vedanta Sutra comes into play when living at it is totally becomes frustrated in his search for true happiness and he doesn't find one. That's where the Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Then he becomes inquisitive. What is Brahm? Real meaning of the Brahman. Embodying the tension between worldly pursuits and spiritual truth. Worldly pursuit, it invariably ends up in suffering, material suffering. Okay? And then the spiritual truth dawns in him, in his heart, then is the beginning of his being inquisitive, asking question, who really Brahman is. That's the beginning of his process to come out of this vicious cycle. And this is a very good example is given, Maharaj gives the example of Arjuna and Krishna. Arjuna in the beginning was placed particularly purposefully in this ignorance. He had to fight in the war, and in the war he had to kill his own family members, his guru, and so on like that. And he was completely disturbed, so much so that he could not solve his problem on his own. That's when he turns to Krishna. Of course, in the beginning he argued a lot, and Krishna permitted him, encouraged him to get all the doubts clarified. But when all the doubts became clarified, then Arjuna says, now I understand, Krishna, I accept you as my guru. Whatever you say, I will accept it and follow it, your instructions. So here also same thing happens. That is the analogy of Arjuna-Krishna dialogue in the Bhagavad Gita that Maharaj brings in to make this point, how Jivatma becomes bewildered in his constant endeavor to enjoy material world, mango fruit and so like that. Ultimately, then he turns his face towards the Paramatma who was telling him, who first was simply watching him, witnessing him. Okay. And then he started giving advice also. So then Jivatma becomes self-realized. Then he accepts, I will take your instruction very seriously and I'll follow it up. The nature of existence. The Upanishadic text, all the sutras, all the verses in Upanishads draw a very clear distinction. Distinction of what? Between the eternal all-knowing Brahman and the limited, often ignorant Jivatman. Jivatman also qualitatively, he is also Brahman. Okay. Material nature is also considered as Brahman in that sense. But this Brahman we are talking about is Para-Brahman. We Vaishnavas distinguish Brahman being Jivatman and Brahman being Paramatman and Bhagwan ultimately. So this Brahman aspect as I keep telling you, it has three forms perceptions, and they intermingle all the time. And we Vaishnavas accept both versions of it. Unlike the Mayavadis, they consider only Nirgun Nirakara, but we accept Nirgun Nirakara Rupa also, form also, attributes also, as well as Bhagavan Paramatman aspect of it also. Okay, that's a big difference. So Brahman's ultimate result is this Parinamvada philosophy against the Mayavadis Vivartavada philosophy. That's a big difference. So nature of existence is again texts become enlightened by Upanishad that is there. A clear distinction between the eternal all-knowing Brahman and the limited, often ignorant Jivatman. So you can see a clear difference. Brahman, actually in our lingo, we call Parabrahman, okay? Absolute knowledge, absolute bliss, and so on like that. So this ignorant Jivatman gradually becomes jnana based and knows about it. Okay? So Brahman is the omnipotent source from which all desires spring and sustenance flows. This relationship embodies both qualitative unity and quantitative distinction, illuminating the shared essence while acknowledging their markedly different natures and roles. So Jivatmans and Brahman, very clear distinctions are there. So this is Upanishadic viewpoint, but seen from a lens of two different viewpoints. What the Mayavadis see from the same Upanishadic verses, and the Vaishnavas see that same. So Upanishad do talk about it, but in a kind of a double meaning way. There's a purpose behind that. It's a context driven and so on like that. Okay, but same Upanishad do talk about what Vaishnavas, their understanding of the difference between Brahman and Jivatman. Any question thus far? Okay, let's move. So philosophical assertion. Numerous Upanishads vehemently proclaim the non-duality and interdependence of Jivatman and Brahman. So non-duality, Advaitavada, seemingly is the overtone of Upanishads are there, but you need to dive in deeper. They also talk about this dualism, bhakti point of it later. And Brahman assumes the role of Bhagavan. They advocate for a holistic understanding of the universe, viewing all beings as expression of the divine essence, Brahman. So now see the progress. Personal relationship in non-duality. The Upanishads teaching emphasize the relationship between the Jivatman and Brahman. And there are specific verses are there in this few Upanishads we are talking about, okay? Svetasvatara Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, and so on like that. Prashna Upanishad also included in that. It is an intimate, deeply personal connection. So this now impersonal to gradually transformation into personal aspect of the Brahman. The Jivatman's tendency towards forgetfulness stands in stark contrast to Brahman. Brahman doesn't come into that kind of, unlike what the Mayavadi claims that it comes under the influence of Maya, Brahman being as explained, all powerful, absolute powerful, how could come under the influence of Maya? and then become a Jivatman. That's the philosophy of the Mayavadis. Totally, completely confusing. Okay, the conclusion. So any particular theme when I complete, if you don't have time, at least read the conclusion. You will get the bottom line of that particular theme. Part 10 of this insightful series dwell into the profound relationship. So now what we learn, there is a distinction. There are two Brahmans, but one being the superior most, and the one being ignorant. That is Jivatman. That's the first thing we learn about it. Okay, and Jivatman and the Upanishad do talk about it. That so there's a interrelationship is there. The metaphor of two birds that we just saw that, and we all understood what that means to say that, how the mango eating bird forgets that he is a pure spirit soul and get totally engrossed in enjoying the matter. Okay? But the other bird, his friend, close friend, nonetheless, he knows the reality and he waits patiently until that person comes to the Brahma Jigyasa platform. He keeps gradually telling him, gradually, not all of a sudden. The text articulates the fundamental nature of existence, balancing the unity and distinction between the individual soul and supreme. So there's a qualitatively both same, quantitatively there's a difference. Okay, and that's called that we will see when we go to the different philosophies, the philosophical spectrum that I coined the word in that. When I started writing PowerPoints, I could clearly see there's a spectrum. Okay, so before we go to the next theme, any questions thus far? So then we first learn in this theme, there is a relationship in Brahman and Jivatman. Okay, and how Jivatman becomes gradually realizing who he is. He is the spirit soul, and his body and himself is totally different. He is not his body, but he is spirit soul. Body comes into existence, stays for a while, and dies. But Atma never dies. Atma is unchanging. Body is ever changing. So understanding of the self. So second, another theme now, philosophical significance, what we talked about just now, what we understood just now. So these teachings challenge conventional notions of individualism. The individuality is not this body. Your body is different than my body. That is not our individuality. Our individuality is because we are spirit soul. That is the real true self that's coming out in this thing. That emphasizes our interconnectedness and the Jivatman's profound reliance on Brahman. This realization can deepen our understanding of the self. So now we truly come to understanding that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, the ABC of these lessons. Okay, that's the first realization dawns in the Jivatman when he becomes little bit knowledgeable by the help of Paramatman aspect of the Brahman situated in his heart, and he recognizes two different Atmans are there. One is Jivatman, another one is all-knowing Paramatman. Shifting the focus from egoistic identification with the physical body to a more expansive view of the existence. So that was the first lesson he learns, that we are not this body, we are pure spirit soul, we have nothing to do with this body. Our true identity is this spiritual. That is the beginning to come onto the path following liberation. Beginning. The call to surrender to a higher power emerges as a vital philosophical principle across many spiritual traditions. This theme resonates with the broader pursuit of guidance and wisdom from a transcendent source. Who is a transcendent source? We are under the influence of the Maya's three gunas. But the Paramatman is not under the Maya's control. Totally, completely against what the Mayavadis say, that Brahman comes under the influence of Maya. Maya is actually the energy of the Brahman, Bhagavan, and completely, totally subservient. So how could what they say is totally meaningless? Ethical implications. Recognizing the bond between the Jivatman and Brahman. So there is a bond. Bondage is there, closeness is there. Cultivates compassion and empathy for all living beings. So see that Brahman, Nirgun Nirakar, how could that Brahman have a compassion for the suffering Jivatman? You see the dichotomy, what the Mayavad is saying, and here the same Nirgun Nirakar could have a compassion, and that is the Upanishadic teachings that they follow, seen as a manifestation of the same divine essence. This perspective nurtures a profound sense of unity and responsibility towards others. When that kind of realization sets in our heart, we see every other living entities, the same Paramatma is situated in every other living entities. So that kind of animosity against our fellow beings is beginning to dissipate. When we know same Paramatma is situated in his heart as the one which is situated in my heart. So this ethical issues getting solved that. So sense of unity sets in and responsibility toward others, reinforcing our ethical obligations. See that? Maharaj brings out wonderful instructions for all of us. Begin to see not the other guy, but the Sarvatma sitting in his heart, that you begin to realize. Okay, the last part of this second theme, critique of monism, that Mayavadi philosophy. The monism means there is no difference. There are no two souls. There's only one. So that's the theory called monism versus dualism. That there are, first of all, two different aspects of the soul. One is Atman, who has material body, and one is Paramatman, all spiritual. So there is duality is there. By articulating the distinctions between the Jivatman and Brahman, the Upanishad criticize. Upanishad, this critique is there of the impersonal monism, advocating for more nuanced understanding of the divine. Nuanced understanding. Everybody understood? Everybody clear what does that mean? There is an understanding, but you need to understand right away, because it could mislead if you are not careful about it. If you misread, misinterpret the same verse, you will misinterpret completely. That honors individuality while embracing the supreme source. So we are individuals, definitely. We are built spiritual beings, but still there is a superior entity is there, Paramatman, all powerful, all perfect, the Brahman aspect of it. Spiritual practice. The teaching emphasizes the profound importance of spiritual practice. So then when you come to first becoming, realize that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. That's the very beginning process. And you start practicing spirituality. And there he sees the ray of hope. There is material sufferings will ultimately come to end because of his infatuation with material enjoyment now is going to be checked. Because he knows this material suffering eventually bring me sufferings. The two wrong lessons learned in Buddhism. Buddhism, Gautam Buddha came into his theory of Shunyavada to remove the sufferings of the humankind. That was his reason also. He saw the suffering and he wanted to end that suffering. But totally two different paths are there. When we talk about Buddhism, we'll come across at that point. So again, the conclusion of this particular theme, part 10 of this exploration of the Upanishads invites deep reflection. So Upanishads are not on the wrong platform, but they are contextual and they are driven by a particular context, and it has double meanings that you need to realize that. And you, if you are a little bit intelligence, you could right away see a diametrically opposite way. There must be some reason. There must be an inner meaning to it, hidden meaning to it, and you need to make effort, use your intelligence, and suddenly you will realize that 1 + 1 is not making sense. The arithmetic is all wrong. Nature of existence, the self and the divine, presenting a framework for understanding the complexity of the life and path to spiritual realization. See that? There's the beginning of coming, that bewildered Jivatman now becomes spiritual realization. And you see the hope of getting out of this bondage with the materialistic tendencies that he had before. Okay, the third thing now we are beginning. Okay. The different states of Jivatman. Nature of the Jivatman. The Jivatman is portrayed as an infinitesimal fragment. We are atomic in size, akin to split hair. Yet it possesses a profound connection to the infinite. Infinite is what? Brahman. And he is also infinite, but not his body. That realization sets in his innermost core. So this duality underscores. So now see the duality. There's a distinguishes difference in that, bridging the realms of individuality and universality. Everybody understood what is the individuality and universality? Individuality means spirit soul, and same the spirit soul, everyone has that, So in that regard, there's a universality is there. Embodiment and identity. The teaching emphasizes that the Jivatman transcends gender. The gender, just like Brahman does not have male-female identity. Jivatman also, as a soul does not have a gender, male or female, or even third gender. Instead, being shaped, so this is the body that gives the gender. The body it inhabits, that is the cause of his gender, male or female. This characteristics and the actions of the body significantly influence the soul's experience and the development. Let me read that sentence again. very important statement. The characteristics and the actions of the body significantly influence the soul's experiences and development. So the kind of body that we possess, it can affect negatively also, unless and until you come to spiritual platform. Perpetual cycles of birth and death, that is samsara, And I told you long back, how did we end up in material world, material existence, having this material body? The same body-mind complex, that is the cause of our entrapment here. The same body-mind complex, if you utilize in the Lord's service in bhakti, the same body-mind complex can revert back us spirituality and freedom from material sufferings. One thorn that is stuck in the sole of our foot can be removed by another thorn. Poison kills poison. So we are talking about this. Perpetual cycle of birth and death. Now we saw a ray of hope. Intentions and sensory experiences steer the journey of embodiment, growth, and transformation. Same body-mind complex got into this material body. The same, exactly same body-mind complex, when it become little bit jnana-based realization, then there's a new beginning coming to spirituality. And in bhakti, that is what we use our body-mind complex. The Jivatman takes a myriad of physical forms. So of course, until he becomes self-realized in this translocation into different species and different planetary systems, that keeps continuing translocation. So that second aspect is coming into play now. What happens this translocation, and what is the way out, getting out of this vicious cycle? So that now we are getting that. So samsara is birth, death, old age, diseases. So different states of the Jivatman. So that is what we are talking about now. We are getting into it. So this is an 8-part theme. So now we are getting 4, 5, 6. Union of body and soul. Prana. So now we are talking about this. This is coming to this 5 koshas that we heard about, right? Annamaya kosh. Food is what our identity. Just like that one bird sitting on the branch of a tree and got attracted to eat this mango, juicy mango. So he identifies himself with that mango. I must have that mango. Because he tasted it. Okay. So that becomes Annamaya kosh. Then slowly later on he realizes when the mango outer portion is finished eating, and suddenly when he started taking bite, his teeth got stuck with that seed of the mango. And he suddenly realized, oh, it's giving pain to his teeth. So then he becomes pranamaya. Okay. He realizes that his living symptoms, he wants to continue living. He is based on that, I must live, I don't want to die. He becomes pranamaya. Prana is the one which keeps him alive. So he's at that time, his realization is limited to that, his living symptoms. Okay. So that pranamaya kosh, it becomes realized in that. Prana means the living symptoms, the prana, the life air, he wants to preserve that. So the vital life force serves as the essential medium binding the Jivatman to its physical form. Because prana keeps the body alive, right? So still the bodily platform. So this physical form, this force is crucial to the soul's engagement in the material world. Okay. The jijivisha, the great desire to remain alive. Even animal species are there. Some microorganisms are completely on that Annamaya Kosh. Bacteria. As a microbiologist, I learned how to communicate with bacteria. Bacteria is used to eating sugar, glucose, but suddenly if you change glucose to galactose, different sugar, the organism completely transform itself, its genetic machinery, and now it is going to survive on its galactose. So there is a fluidity of gene expression is also there. That is one of the bases for my hypothesis in this thesis that I'm writing. The vital life force serves as the essential medium, Jivatman, to its physical form. This force is crucial for the soul's engagement in the material world. So it's still in the material world. How to remain alive, how to keep my job, that helps me to get my food. But that's what he's limited to that point. He made some progress, but he is stuck in that. So pranamaya then comes to manomaya. Then he started using his intelligence, manobuddhi ahankar. Pranamaya course is transferring into coming to the manomaya course. Mind and intelligence plays a role there. Okay. So Prakriti is three gunas. The material nature Prakriti is governed by the three qualities, sattva, rajas, tamas, which shape the experience of the Jivatmans, because he's still under the control of the Maya. Maya's three gunas. So then his intelligence is going to play a role. How do I escape this entrapment in these three modes are terribly affecting me? See his progress towards spirituality gradually comes to at different platforms, steps of the ladder. These modes correlate with the states of existence, heaven, earth, hell. And thus, so you see this, we are now realizing the soul's journey, where from he began, how he's progressing, how he's going upward. So, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya. Now is going to come to Vijnanamaya. That's the really coming to the spiritual platform. The path of existence, the Jivatma's journey is dictated by desires, leading it to the realms. So it's by experience, trial and error. Trial and error. And that may take many, many lifetimes, not necessarily in this lifetime, unless you are lucky and made a self-realized soul. So it's by trial and error is learning. Sooner or later, he's progressing. With the help of the super soul, he begins to listen to his inner voice, the sixth sense that sometimes people call sixth sense. But it's Paramatman gradually, depending upon how much he's ready to hear, Paramatman is giving him gradual advice. At the very beginning level, when he was totally Annamaya, Pranamaya, then Paramatma gives direction to pertaining to limited to that extent. It's Paramatma gives him the necessary intelligence, even at that earlier course. But time will come. 2 or 3 steps are there. Material sufferings. He realized that that's not giving you happiness. The 4 kinds of people Krishna says comes to my shelter. Take my shelter, right? Artha, difficulties, sufferings. Many of us, I including, came to this platform because of that. Artharthi, something wants something. a good job and so on like that. They're also selfish interest to come to Krishna platform. Ultimately become Jnana realize. Then finally becomes really self-realized. Come to Bhakti platform. The path of existence, the Jivatma's journey is dictated by its desire, leading it through realms determined by its deeds. So now you see the different levels of transformation and how he's making progress on the spirituality and slowly dissipating his tendency to enjoy the fruit of mango. States of consciousness, the Upanishads articulate the distinct states of consciousness. And this now we are talking about this Jagrata Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Jagrata, Swapna, and the deep sleep, right? 3 states that we have. And these 3 states, the communication gradually breaks down. In Jagrata Avastha, our all senses are very active. Okay. And we are keeping track of our environment. When Swapnastha, there's a breakdown, partial. And then finally, deep sleep, disconnection between the senses and the sense objects. Ultimately, there's a 4th state. The word Turiya, that itself called 4th state. That is the coming to the transcendental platform. Transcendence, that's the 4th platform, Turiya state. The complexity capture, and gradually he becomes completely a transcendental platform. Elements of existence. The physical body is composed of 5 primal elements, Pancha Mahabhutas, earth, water, fire, air, ether. This is all everybody's aware of it, so I won't spend much time on that. So conclusion of this theme. Part 11 explores the nuanced interplay between the individual Atman and the physical embodiment. Clear distinction takes place now. There's a clear distinction between the difference between the physical body and my Atma. It represents the Atman as a tiny yet infinite essence, unbound by gender or identity, shaped through the qualities and actions of the body. The samsara, repeated birth and death, unfolds according to the intention of the Jivatmans, influenced by material nature, creating various states of existence that we just talked about. Prana, pranamaya, that gives the desire to remain alive. The life where connects the body and the Atman, while different states of consciousness culminating in the exalted state of the Turiya state. After much realization of the spirituality, ultimately the text connects the body's elements to Brahman, underscoring the unity that pervades all existence. Unity and diversity, the neural nature of the Jivatman, both individual. So looks like the final theme. It encourages a transformative understanding that despite perceiving ourselves as distinct entities, we are intrinsically part of a greater whole, expanding our relationship with the self and the universe. So see that Jiva, Jagata, and Ishvara, the Trinity, comes under the realization. Ethics and morality, by emphasizing the consequence of action. So now Jivatman learns also, anything and everything I do, there's a finite actions and reactions. How do I get out of it? Then comes the transcendental platform. He learns what is akarma. Even good karma gives good reactions, but for the good reaction, I need to come back. Again, the rat race will begin in the next life. But if I do some karma, bhakti karma, then there are no reactions to it. I work for the Lord and his devotees. Interconnectedness. By tracing the composition of the body back to Brahman, the teachings illuminate the profound interconnectedness. See that? The keyword interconnectedness. Soul, Paramatma, body, material platform. This triangular communication, there's one of the hallmark of my hypothesis. The soul begins the cascade of the reaction cycle. He expresses desire, either material or spiritual. Then that desire is going to be sanctioned by the Paramatma, coexisting in his soul, in his heart. Then Paramatma, depending upon his qualification, whether he deserves or not, he then fulfills the desire through the agency of the material nature, Prakriti. Prakriti is three gunas. So that's a triangular communication. Even then there is a material desire, this happens. And then spiritual desire also like that. If he has a spiritual desire, Lord gladly sanctions it and fulfill his desire directly without having to go through this material nature. Transmigration of the soul. I think everybody's very clear about transmigration, what happens once you die, and if you still material desires are left. In fact, in this very life, we decide what kind of our next body is going to be. The kind of life that we led, that will decide what is going to happen. Our next body is totally decided. That's what Shastra says. So after death, Yamaraja consult his Chitragupta's secretary, who keeps track of his accountant, and finds out where does he deserve the next life. Either he goes to heaven, good karmas, pious activities, or he might remain on the earth itself in the human form and get another opportunity to purify himself. Or he has done some terrible karmas and he go downward in the animal species. So true liberation, that's not a liberation. He just keeps going through in the 14 planetary systems and 8.4 million species of life forms until he comes to self-realization. And there is a door open for his liberation. So transmigration is explained right here. There is an analogy given as chariot. I won't go into that. You can read it. Karma and conduct, different kinds of karmas. Karma following the Vedic injunctions. Vikarma, going against it. Or akarma, work for the Supreme Lord. And different paths of after death, what happens. In all these things, technicality. Final conclusion. Part 2 of this series dwell deeply into the complexity of the Jivatman's transmigration. So look at his journey, where he was, where he is now. Gradually, there is a going path upward when he transformed himself from bodily platform to spiritual platform. The cycle of samsara. So it's not a hopeless situation. You can break that vicious cycle. Moral responsibility is there. Self-realization. The Upanishads champion the pursuit of self-knowledge and positing that true liberation is found through understanding the Jivatman and transcending the duality of good and the evil. So we need to understand who we are, and what stage are we, and what is the path going forward instead of going backward. Conclusion serves as a powerful reminder of the intricate tapestry woven between our actions, so we realize our responsibility, what the kind of actions we perform, there are consequences to it. And journey of the soul, urging readers to reflect meaningful on their lives and choices in the light of these profound teachings. Haribol. It's open for discussion. So you see that 11 lectures after we conclude this Upanishad, these teachings, we are going to revisit the same, all this, what we learned through learning the different philosophies of our self-realized souls. They have different viewpoints. There's a wide spectrum, completely on an atheistic way. I am smart. Everything I got is because of my hard work and my intelligence. No God exists. No Vedas. Coming from there all the way going to the completely pure devotee of the Lord. That spectrum, that journey will start going through beginning next week onwards. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So wonderful. As I'm reading and also going through the slides, in advance and learning a lot. How my only question is that, Prabhuji, there are 108 Upanishads. We are focusing on some specific Upanishad, say 14 Upanishad, right? We are talking
Yes,
about.
correct.
And then
But they are more open.
they are open. And based on that, we are concluding what we are talking about, Paramatman and, Brahman and his attributes and characteristics. But somebody can come and say that there are total 108 Upanishads. Other than this 14, they are maybe silent. So how to justify,
They are not
saying that?
silent. It's not
Okay.
silent. If you really go deep into it, remember all Upanishads are personified. In
Yes.
Bhagavad we learn, right? Vedas
Yes.
personified, they offer prayers. So all Upanishads ultimately they all agree to the same point.
Mhm. Okay. So saying
this
14 is.
Upanishad- So 14 Upanishads are straightforward in a way to understand that, but this Mayavadis, they even misinterpret those Upanishads also, these 14 Upanishads also. Okay.
Yeah.
But the other
Yeah.
Upanishads you are talking about, they are highly specialized subject matters on that are there. Okay. I have not studied all 108, obviously, but I studied these 10 major Upanishads in my early years. I studied and I took lessons from a Sanskrit scholar because I told him I don't want to learn Sanskrit as a language, but teach me Sanskrit through these scriptures. At that time, I'm talking about when I was not on Bhakti platform, okay? These Vedas and Upanishads seemed so flowery. So I was bent on learning that, okay? So he started teaching me. I remember he first started teaching me Taittiriya Upanishads. And he went on, gave me a overall knowledge about the 10 major Upanishads actually.
Yeah. So Prabhuji, another.
Yeah,
So so another, why we want to understand Upanishad, because we can't study the Vedas ourselves, because Vedas
no,
difficult to
Veda is
understand,
beyond our capacity.
beyond our capacity. That is why if you want to know what is in Vedas, study the Upanishad, which is little bit of easy and which is nicely explained, right? And
Yeah,
that
but
way you.
Upanishads is not easy to understand.
Okay.
It's a Jnana base, so you have to have certain
Right.
qualifications. That is the very reason why Srila Vyasadeva compiled different Puranas.
Puranas, yes.
practical ways. So even those lower class people, lower class means intelligence wise, okay, those who don't have that sharp intelligence, he started learning the same thing that is revealed in Upanishad, but in a way more example directed, historical example directed, and so on like that, which is easy people to connect with themselves. Okay, so
Yeah.
finally came to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the
Thank you, Prabhuji. So nice journey. Yeah, you are walking through. See, previously also we studied Annamay, Pranmay, Manomay. But now when you see the consciousness, how you interact with outside, when you connect with that, it really makes sense from Annamay,
exactly.
because our dependence was only for food. And then once you get food, how you gradually go from,
But some people,
living
some people are still
symptoms and
stuck in that, right? Enjoying fruit.
true. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Correct.
Krishna.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey,
Hari
Krishna
Bol.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Any other question? Yeah,
Hare
Prasad
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
So wonderful session, Prabhu. It's really so amazing. Connecting the dots or re-emphasizing whatever we learned is correct, and then it is been re-emphasizing that like it's all your free will, and then you have to use your intelligence. It's so wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank
I
you.
have one fundamental question, Prabhu, but I'm not sure
Yes.
if it is already answered. But
Yes.
I think worth to ask. Okay.
Try your best.
Yeah. See, Bhagavatam talks about Paramatma and Leela. Okay. Okay, Paramatma. Okay. So Upanishads talk about so much of Brahman, but with all the three sessions, what I have seen is okay, Ame Jivatma, okay, you will never become Brahman, but like you will get the qualities of Brahman. That is what it is telling. Yeah. So, but why Upanishads wants to talk about Brahman, Prabhu? Why can't it directly deal with Paramatma only? Why is there
But
any
that's what I.
reason?
But that's what I keep telling you. Same
Yeah.
Upanishad do talk to Parama. Do right in beginning. We already come across. It talks about Paramatma, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Why it always refers Brahman, Brahman, Brahman? Why? Okay. It talks
because
about Paramatma as well.
it's it's a Gada based platform. Remember Upanishads. What is Upanishads are actually? Upanishads are actually the commentaries of selfless rishis.
Okay.
Some part of the Vedas, they take four Vedas and then
Hmm.
they start discussing and giving their own realizations. And it varies from person to person, right? Different rishis have a different kind of viewpoints. So they all explain this 108 Upanishads you're talking about. They are the realization of this varieties of these rishis. Okay, it's basically commentaries and a
Comment.
Jnana based
Yes.
commentaries.
Okay.
So it's a different viewpoints coming into play, heterogeneity because of that.
Hmm.
So these Upanishads are also actually compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, around 8 Upanishads,
Hmm.
based on different commentaries across the spectrum. But ultimately, there is an underlying message. They
Okay.
all come to ultimate realization to become God conscious. There is a person, and this completely on a platform of Nirgun Nirakar platform, coming all the way, coming to Bhagwan level, Paramatma level, all this that we have seen, we already seen that. And I didn't go by each Upanishad, but Maharaj goes through all the major Upanishads and he differentiates what the Upanishads really say and what the Mayavadis interpret in a very
Okay.
restrictive way.
Hmm.
So
Understood.
same
So
verses, same
actually
verses,
speaking,
only completely
actually
different
speaking,
way.
okay. So actually speaking, no Upanishad supports that everything is oneness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a cherry picking is there, You know what do we mean by cherry picking? Everybody understood what is cherry picking?
Yeah, cherry picking, yes, Prabhu. They take only a little part of that and then they
That
just
satisfy.
analyze
Yeah,
that
exactly.
and say
And
this is what is
they
mentioned.
ignore
It
the
is not a
part that does
holistic
not
view.
agree with
Yeah,
them.
holistic view. Yeah, complete overall shastric view. No? Only a particular part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
वो भी उनको जो अच्छा लगा वो ही पार्ट लिया है उसका, है ना
उसको
प्रभु?
support करते हैं बस.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I
is
don't
not
know
अच्छा
whether
लगा.
it is the right example
So
or
you
not.
have to when you read Shastra, you need to be open-minded.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I'm not sure whether it is
there's a branch, technical
there is a
word for that how to interpret Shastric statements. What the Shastra really says, there is a defined way of doing. Jiva Goswami has taught us that technique. It is given in the Sandarbhas. He talks about. And in the modern academicians also, you see that there's a technical word right now I don't remember. I'll look it up and I'll tell you that. It's called interpretation of Shastric statements. How to interpret properly. Okay. Any other questions, points? Sanjay Prabhuji?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, हरे
Oh,
कृष्णा
Raksha
प्रभु जी,
Mataji.
दंडवत
Yes,
प्रणाम.
Dandavat
यस प्रभु
Pranam.
जी. प्रभु जी, जो स्टार्टिंग से हम देखते हैं कि मगर अगर जो वो पक्षी मटेरियल फ्रूट को चखेगा नहीं, तब तक उसको मालूम नहीं पड़ेगा कि दुख क्या है, सफरिंग क्या
Yeah.
है. दे हैव टू, मतलब हमें, मतलब ये जब तक हमें मालूम नहीं पड़ता है कि ये रियल में हम लोग को बहुत पेन दे रहा है, तभी हम कुछ सोच पाएंगे कि क्यों हो रहा है ये सब, क्यों हम बार बार इतना सफरिंग क्यों हो रहा है. तब हम जाके कुछ हमारी बुद्धि का उपयोग करके हम सोचेंगे कि हम अभी क्या करें इसमें से बाहर निकलने के लिए. तो हम ये
क्या होता है
इनवर्ट जर्नी को शुरू कर सकते हैं, है ना प्रभु जी?
क्या it's a trial and error through different life forms, different lifetimes, that's how we learn, and every time we make progress,
Yes, Prabhu.
so ultimately we need a self-less soul to come to in our life that completely transforms our thinking.
Yes, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji,
And
Bhagavad Gita is also
Bhagavad Gita is the sarans. It gives the essence of the essence of all the scriptures.
Yes, Prabhuji. The most famous
Krishna gives,
loka, Sarva Upanishado Gao, Dogda Gopala Nandana.
yeah. Okay. Anybody else before I turn it over to Sharad
Hare
Prabhuji?
Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Yeah, then Pranam.
Prabhuji, so the one that you explained, the Jiva and Jagat and Ishvara. So
Yeah.
that we can relate to
The
Bhagavad Gita
last
as
part, the last part
Kshetra,
that we are entering in the
Kshetra.
fourth lesson, we are going to focus on the Jagata, and interrelationship that.
Okay. So that relationship can be compared to Kshetra, Kshetragya and Kshetrapal. Jiva, Jagata, Ishvara.
Yeah, we are going to hear that last
Oh,
lesson.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
except
Prabhuji.
Before
except
who is
our
there?
karmas, everything belongs to Lord, na? As per Bhagavad Gita.
But we have this what you call limited free will.
Yeah,
That Lord does not interfere.
yeah.
Okay. Before I turn it to Sharad Prabhuji, Premaji, are you there still? Haribol
No,
Premaji?
Prabhuji,
No,
no, she left.
Prabhuji. Relax.
She left, gave a
Okay,
message
all right.
sometime back.
Okay, all right. So Sharad Prabhuji?
Ravishan, I will just skip
Yeah.
1 minute.
Yeah, Sanjay Prabhuji, sorry.
Yeah, so no questions, but quick thought on what you taught, and everybody made a comment, and that was very relevant. I had just one thing that makes me think is how important is this current life form and the understanding we have. Like in the Shastra, you also explained that this human body is compared to the boat, and then a spiritual master and the Vaishnavas are the captain, and then the Vedas and Upanishad are the favorable way, which is what we are teaching us. So that's this concept, and this will steer and direct our boat to the right direction. So thank you very much.
So please pay attention. These 11 lectures are very, very important lectures. Okay, very important lectures, and they are relatively quite easy to understand. Okay, Sharad Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. We were talking about Upanishads. Generally, it is believed that there are 108 Upanishads, but that is also not correct. There are about 1180 Upanishads or so, 82, and there are various figures. But 108 are there very important Upanishads which are known to everybody. And out of that, generally you will find commentaries on the 10 Upanishads. Sometimes 10, sometimes 11, sometimes about 14. This is what we come to know. And long back, about almost 40, 50 years back, I had a chance to study these basic Upanishads, 10, 11 of them, though I hardly understood them. But now revisiting them, it is giving me pleasure because now I can understand at least something. Then the question is why they have been made so difficult. They are actually the part of the Vedas, and as you know, the Vedic literature, they are designed for some people, only specific people, not for anybody and everybody. That's why, especially this portion of the Vedic literature, Vedas, that is the Upanishads, they are so difficult so that those people who should not study, they will not go into them. Then the next question is what Raksha Mataji was talking about. It takes a lot of time for us to understand. Now, please understand. I'll give examples of just two basic things. We understand that this will come in while we study Buddhism also. We know that this world is very painful. Krishna is the supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu, and all that. But are we accepting them from within us? Or we are saying just we are understanding and we know about this is given in this Shastra. And from within we are not accepting. That's why the problem has started. Like I was given the example. We know that the Supreme Lord is the Karta Karaita. He is the one who is doing, he is making us do it. Then why we are part of this sin? Why we are in this karma bandhan? It is because we are accepting in our heart of hearts, though we say otherwise. We say that the Lord is Karta Karaita, but we are thinking, we have accepted that we are doing and we are the proprietor. That's why this karma bandhan is coming. Now, if we just take it away from our mind, we understand it properly, then this karma bandhan will not be there. It is just a matter of our understanding, of our acceptance. We are not accepting. Like later on, we'll study in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, we ourselves are the culprits. We are responsible for what state we are in. You see, the creation of this universe. When we say Ananta Kal, say, from time immemorial, that means how many trillions of years we cannot say. But please believe that we, as some Jivatma, we have been existing throughout till now. Why? It is because of this reason. Now the time has come for us to understand. We have understood, but we have to realize from within. so that we'll get benefited and we'll get the result. Otherwise, this knowledge or understanding, this will remain theoretical only, and again we have to take birth again and again in this material world. And as you know, this is the Kali Yuga, which is going on. Only 5,200 years have passed, and another more than 4 lakh years are there, and we have to take birth here again and again, and that is so difficult. That's why we have to change our mind, we have to accept it from within, then the correct understanding will come. Then we spoke about non-difference. Now please understand how Srila Prabhupada he describes this non-difference between the Atma and Paramatma, which we studied this thing today also. In Vaishnava philosophy, they conclude that a living entity is a simple, a small sample of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we spoke about qualitatively, quantitatively, everything. Everything we understand. But in our minds, we think that all the things which are in front of us, in our homes, in our surroundings, they belong to us. And this is not the correct understanding. We should take it. Then in other Upanishad, there is a very good Upanishad. If you get ever time, please read the Katha Upanishad. There is a conversation between Yamaraj and Nachiketa, who is son of a Brahmana. And Yamaraj, he teaches Nachiketa that the soul is a passenger in the chariot of the body. The intelligence is the driver. The mind is the reins, and the horses are our 6 senses. And when the intelligence is weak, the mind is not controlled, and when the mind is not controlled, the senses, they also behave badly. And the soul in this condition is called impure, asuchi. And so he cannot achieve the ultimate destination, that is you can say immortality, or you can say liberation. And he must therefore mount the wheel of repeated birth and death. Now the supreme destination is beyond birth and death. That is pointed out in this Upanishads, in Srimad Bhagavatam, and various other places. And another thing, we should know that because of our karma, because of our thinking, our next body is already determined by the superior control. That's why Srila Prabhupada also says this in some purports. The living entity immediately gives up the present body and enters another. And sometimes in this present body, the living entity feels that many of his desires and imaginations, they have not fulfilled, and he wants them to be fulfilled. That's why the Lord is very, very sympathetic to us. That's why he gives a chance. And those who are overly attracted to their life situation, they are forced to remain in a particular type of body. It can be a ghostly body, or it can be any other body. And even in the body of a ghost, these individuals, they create disturbances for relatives and others. As I said earlier, the mind is the prime cause of such situations. And according to one's mind, different types of bodies are generated, and one is forced to accept them. And as we have studied in the Bhagavad Gita, it is very difficult to control the mind. Therefore, please understand what is given in the Bhagavad Gita and also in the Srimad Bhagavatam. how to control the mind. Use it for Krishna, for the Supreme Lord, for Vishnu or whatever form anybody worships. If it is used in that, then it will come under control and not otherwise. So these are very, very difficult things. And here in Upanishad, so that the language is like that, and it has been designed like that. But Prabhuji has made them in such a simple language, we are able to understand at least something, if not 100%. And later on in Govinda Bhashya, it will be made clearer. But please remember that these are very difficult concepts, difficult to understand, and that's why they are represented in a very cryptic language also. So we should be very, very attentive in these classes, starting from next weekend onwards. And if we understand them, then the understanding of Govinda Bhashya, that is the Vedanta Sutra of Vyasadeva, that will be very, very easy for us. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Prabhuji, time is up, so we can discuss, but we'll continue tomorrow.
Yes.
I thought I heard you said that Lord is making us do things. Am I correct? Did you say that?
What, Prabhuji?
In the beginning of your you just said that it is the Lord Karta Karak, means He is making us do things. Are you sure you believe that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Lord is not making us do simple things. He warns us all the time. There's a ditch ahead. You'll get hurt. He doesn't make you fall in the ditch. Are you sure you think it over? We'll talk about tomorrow.
Okay,
But
okay.
but maybe I heard you wrong. But I thought you said that He is making us do things.
प्रभु जी उनका मतलब वो था कि वी आर नॉट अ डूअर लॉर्ड इज ओनली डूअर
That is a different meaning. But the way he
Mm.
said that. we'll
Karta
continue tomorrow.
Karaita.
Okay, well, since time is up, anybody volunteer to do the Nashya prayer?
यस प्रभु जी
And-
हरे
Yes, go
कृष्ण
ahead.
हरे कृष्ण वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितनं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः च प्रभुपाद की जय हो
Teacher.
नमस्ते
Namaste
नरसिंहाय
Narasimhaya
प्रहलाद
Namadaladatayine
हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः
Hiranyakashipuvakshaha Shilatankanakala
इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह बहिर्नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नाथाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय हो नरसिंहदेव 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 जय हो नरसिंहदेव जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय हो प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव श्री श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय हो। भक्त शिरोमणि प्रहलाद महाराज की जय हो। सर्व डिवोटी की जय हो। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Thank you, Prabhuji, for so wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rakshamati.
Prabhu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So
Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
tomorrow we'll do the 4th lesson. But remember, next week our Bhagavatam 11th canto will start. Okay, on this regular 2 days. But then Friday we are going to start the third session in a week. Just to make sure that I thought I would remind you, all of you. Sharad Prabhu, you send
Yes,
the
Prabhuji.
reminding email to everyone, okay? Sharad Prabhuji?
Yes,
Yes,
Because
yes.
next week we'll have these 3 sessions in a week, all right?
Friday.
Yeah,
Right.
9th.
yes, Friday, that is 9th of January, coming Friday, but the duration is 2 hours.
In the evening, right? In the night time, it's your
Yes.
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Yes, for us in the
Yes.
it'll be in the morning 9:30 to 11:30.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Yes,
And
Prabhu.
we'll start the kirtan 5 minutes early. That is
Remember, it's only 2 hours, so give me some time to do those.
Yes, Prabhuji.
yes, Prabhuji will give minimum 1 hour, but maybe the 1 hour 5 minutes or so, and the recap in not more than 20 minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
See you soon.
Krishna,
What is my
Krishna
class
Krishna,
like?
Hare Ram, Hare Ram.
Ram
Thank you all.
Ram.
Dandvat pranam to all
Session.
devotees.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Sharad Prabhu. 10th is
Hare
my
Krishna.
class, isn't it, Prabhu? 10th Jan? 10th
I
Jan
think,
and
yeah, I think you are doing the 11th canto
11th
beginning,
canto.
right?
Yeah, I'm starting the 11th canto.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, Bhaiji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.